Yeah, so hello everyone, good afternoon. So I'm Katrin, the Partnerships Manager of StartupBlink, and today I'll be talking to you about our Global Startup Ecosystem Index Report 2022. So here's a quick agenda of my discussion for today. So I'll speak a bit about StartupBlink and our methodology, and then I'll go over the rankings results for this year. And then after that, I'll discuss the Turkish startup ecosystem rankings, the city rankings, and of course the country rankings. And then we'll dive deep into the software and data industry rankings. So on StartupBlink, we currently do not have AI rankings, but the artificial intelligence sub-industry is within the software and data industries. Okay, so a bit about StartupBlink. So StartupBlink, we're a global map and research center, and we usually work with government agencies in mapping and analyzing their ecosystems. We also benchmark ecosystems. We build ecosystem dashboards, ecosystem portals as well, depending on industry specific and also location specific. So where do we get our data for our map and our ranking? So we have global data partners like Crunchbase, SEMrush, Meetup, and UNAID. So these are among our data partners. And we also get information that is added directly to the map. So every year we release a report ranking the 100 countries and 1,000 cities based on the strength of their startup ecosystem. So this year we had 40 components. And these are focused on measuring the quantity, quality, and business environment in each location. So our methodology is quite long, but if you're interested to dive deep, you can download the report at lp.startupblink.com/report. But just a brief overview. So as I mentioned, we have three main baskets of components. So the first component is the quantity score. Quantity score looks at how many stakeholders are in the ecosystem. So how many startups, how many co-working spaces, how many accelerators, and other components that make up the ecosystem. So as I mentioned a while ago, the sources of our startups on the map, our first one is crowdsourced information. We also have information from our global data partner, Crunchbase, and we also get information from local data partners we have in each location globally. So these are usually government agencies or support agencies that help in developing the ecosystem. The second component is the quality score. So the quality looks at how good or how beneficial are these stakeholders. So the quality score, it looks at, first of all, for startups, we look at the traction of the startups, we look at number of employees, and also we look at the funding amount for the startups. That's how we rank startups currently, even on our map. We also look at if there are unicorns, exits, or pantheons. So pantheons is a category that we created. So these are usually companies that help in supporting the ecosystem. These are usually not startups, but bigger companies. And the last is the business environment. The business environment looks at how easy it is for entrepreneurs to build their own startup or any business really in a ecosystem. So the business environment looks at R&D innovation, internet freedom, internet connectivity, and a lot of other indices, such as we also look at the total amount of funding per ecosystem. So we look at it on an ecosystem level, since we do analysis more on the macro level of the ecosystem. So now let's look at the country rankings insights for this year. So this year, it's still undisputed that the top four countries are still the US, UK, Israel, and Canada. It's been the same since 2020, and even before that. One of the biggest switches this year in the rankings is Sweden, going above Germany, now being the top EU ecosystem country in the rankings. Biggest upset on the top 10 is currently China, dropping 3 spots. And the biggest winner is Singapore in the same region, gaining 3 spots from 10th place to 7th place this year. This year, we also had 5 countries making their debut. These are Andorra, Senegal, Kosovo, Angola, and Kyrgyzstan. So looking at the city ranking, so you see even on this graph that San Francisco and New York have both been the first and second ecosystem consistently for the last 3 years. We project that San Francisco will continue to be #1 in the years to come, but there is a lot of shifts. We do see that the gap between New York and San Francisco has been slowly getting smaller as the year passed by. This can be attributed to some startups either moving out of San Francisco and moving to other locations globally. We also see here that the same trend that we saw a while ago with Chinese cities such as Beijing and Shanghai. Beijing going down from 3rd spot last year to 6th spot this year, and Shanghai being stagnant at the 7th place. Tel Aviv, which is the startup nation, has been going down a bit in the last 3 years, now at 9th place. And Paris is debuting for the first time this year on the top 10 ecosystem for startups. Another good insight from the cities this year is that Europe has the most cities in the global top 1,000 with 426 cities in 2022. That's an increase from their 2021 number with only 386 cities. Okay, so now let's look more into the rankings of Turkey. We see here, so this is the graph showing the rankings of Turkey from 2020 to 2022. Currently, we do see that in Europe, it's still the same. It's still 27th in Europe, but it has gone slightly down this year for 2 spots. We've seen this a lot. Like I think you even saw it on the graph that we do see some declines in some European cities because of the increase of a lot of Asian and North and South American countries. So our rankings is always relative. So even if the ecosystem moves forward, if other ecosystems are faster, then there will be a decline. But we always say that a decline is not a bad thing. It just means that we need to improve for the next year. Other good insights about Turkey this year are the top industries. So in StartupBlink, we also have beta rankings on the industry level, with transportation as the biggest overperforming industry for Turkey at 28th place, energy environment on 29th place, and e-commerce and retail 32nd place worldwide. So these 3 industries, as you can see, they're vastly overperforming the global general rankings of 46. Okay. So looking at the cities within Turkey that are ranked in our rankings, we have currently 4, but you can definitely that Istanbul is currently in the first year is the only Turkish city in the top 100. And it's also the only Turkish city this year that increased. So it increased by 3 spots, now at 66th place. And an overperforming industry for Istanbul is social and leisure. They're 26th in this industry. Other cities are Ankara, Izmir, and Antalya. So we do see that Istanbul really is undisputed top 1, but we have really great hopes for Ankara, Izmir, and Antalya as well. We've been tracking them for the last 3 years. And although they did have a slight decrease for 2022, I think we see some good activity, and we project that hopefully it will increase again in the next rankings for 2023. So now let's look further into the software and data rankings. So software and data is the biggest industry on the StartupBlink map. It currently has 31.8% of startups sampled in this industry. It also has a high number of unicorns currently. It accounts for 38.4% of all unicorns on the database. The number of unicorns for 2022 increased to 415 from 255 from last year. Looking at the top cities for software and data, it's San Francisco. I'll go deeper into the cities in the next slides. And then for the countries, we have the US as number 1. And right next to it is China at 2nd place, Israel at 3rd, UK at 4th, and Germany on the 5th place. Okay, so looking at software and data rankings, so we can see that in the top 10, half of the cities here are US cities, with San Francisco, New York, Boston, LA, and Seattle. But we do see European cities as well, like London and Paris, and of course, Beijing and Shanghai are in the top 10 as well. Going on to the lower half of the top 20, we still see a lot of US cities in the top 20, but still great news for Asia with Tokyo, Yokohama area, and Bangalore in the top 12th place and 16th place. Okay, so looking at the regional level, so these are the regional rankings of software and data for Europe, UK and Germany in the 1st and 2nd place, and Spain in 3rd. Biggest winners here are definitely Spain and Lithuania, with 9 spots higher compared to their global rankings. And then looking at Asia, we see that Australia is the top performer here. And then Middle East and Africa, we have Israel, industry ranked 2nd, and UAE at 41 for the 2nd place in the region. And then finally, we have Latin America and the Caribbean, with Chile 1st place in this ranking and Brazil at 2nd. And then looking at the Turkish ecosystem in terms of software and data rankings, we see that Turkey is 49th place in this ranking. This means that it is in the top 50, but and it's similar to its global ranking as well. And then looking at its cities, it's the first year that we're ranking the cities of Turkey in the software and data rankings, with Istanbul at 110th place, Ankara at 228th, and Izmir at 296th place. So it's important to note that our software and data rankings and most of our industry rankings actually are still beta rankings. So the methodology of it is similar to how we rank our general rankings with the same components. And there's not a lot of, since they're beta, there will still be a lot of improvements in the coming years, of course. And there's not a lot of data as well on software and data right now. So we can't say that it's 100% accurate like our global rankings. So looking, as I mentioned a while ago, we currently do not have our own rankings for artificial intelligence, but we do have artificial intelligence startups on our map already at the moment. So you can go to startupblink.com and filter by industry and go to artificial intelligence, and you'll see 3,100 startups currently mapped in our ecosystem, in our map. So our map is it's only a sample size, so we don't have 100% database. So this is around 5 to 10% sample of the global number of startups. So, okay. Looking at the AI number of artificial intelligence startups on the country level, we see that most of the startups still is in the US, currently on our map. Second is China, the UK, Canada, Israel, with 141 startups, India, Germany, France, Japan with 94, and Taiwan with 88 startups. I really encourage everyone to go to startupblink.com, and you can definitely add your startups to the map. It's free for everyone to do. It's a great way to have your startup on the global platform, and it will also help us rank more accurately Turkey and the Turkish ecosystem. Yeah, and that's all currently for me. If you have questions, please let me know, or you can also message me or email me at Katrin@startupblink.com.